So in this tutorial we're going to take a look at modeling just a generic mid-level head. So there's kind of three phases really that when you look at modeling, when you're like an intro modeler and then a mid-level artist and then a senior artist. An intro artist can make very simple things. A mid-level artist is like extremely good at copying reference. I mean, like amazing. And then like more of a senior artist is able to take multiple reference sources and produce their own character that's appealing, that has great color and things like that. So I decided to select this image as a mid-level. This is a reference I got from 3D.sk. Now what you'll notice is the eye line doesn't line up. The mouth does, and the base of the nose does not. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is we're going to talk about the basics of head modeling. And we're actually going to maybe trace one of these views, like the front or side or something. But we're not going to work completely from the reference in respect to tracing. That's what a beginning artist does. When you reach the mid-level, and that's after you've done a few heads, you should be able to just sort of eyeball or look at reference and be able to see the spatial relationship between eyes. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with good topology, like what is the basics of edge flow when it comes to the head. So we'll start with the eyes, move on to the mouth, then do the nose, then the ears, and the shape of the head. So once we get all of that down, just sort of like working off reference and eyeballing it, we're going to take it into ZBrush and do a sculpt, like get these bags underneath the eyes and things like that. And then after that, we're actually going to do a complete facial rig and maybe a little talking animation, a facial animation of this character. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to load this reference up in Maya. Okay, so here is our image set up in Maya. Now, if you're not sure how to set up image planes, watch the basic character modeling video, the Leo one. I want you to watch that anyway before you do that. You go through the entire modeling of a low poly game character. So once you have your image plane set up, let's go ahead and start to model our head. So I'm going to do it a lot like the Leo setup. But I'm going to actually introduce a new way of creating the eye socket. It's just an alternate way. It gets you about the same result. So, but it's just kind of nice to expose you to a different method. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this and assign a new material. And I'm just going to go ahead and do just the Lambert for now. And I'm going to go to those material attributes and just sort of increase the transparency. Alright? Let's go ahead and click this button here, the wireframe shaded. And that'll give us a wireframe mode. Alright, I'm going to shift right click, go down to smooth, go to object mode, go to the front view, and just kind of line it up with the center. Now I'm going to pick this as my dominant face, this center line here. Alright, I'm going to go to face mode, delete half the faces, go to object mode, and I'm just right clicking to do this, selecting that, hold spacebar down, go to edit, go down to duplicate special and turn on the options. For the options, we want to make sure that we have instance and -1 in X. Now mind you that I'm in the front view right now. So when I hit apply, it's going to go ahead and instance it across that axis. So let's just stretch this out so that it matches up a little bit better with his face. Now if you remember from the Leo video, let me go ahead and turn off preserve UVs. That's why it's causing it to snap. If you remember from the Leo videos, that these two faces here are the front of my character's head. Like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and section off. Let's create a couple loops for drawing. So one just below the nose. Let's go back to object mode. Just one above the brow here. And then I'm going to go ahead and if you hit G, it'll redo last action, which will grab our insert edge loop tool. And one by the nose here. Alright, and then let's go ahead and utilize these here. I'm going to make sure that we're always, every time we add an edge or a cut, we're always kind of moving those verts around, even up top, so that nothing gets sort of neglected. Alright, I'm going to expand these guys out more. all the way down here, because remember, this is the front of our face. This guy's got a really long head. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is let's go to our perspective view, and let's go to our side view now, and we're just going to move this forward, both of these guys here. Now I'm not going to actually, this is not my dominant side, as you can notice from our side view here, that these verts here go above the head. And like I said, we don't want to trace completely from reference here. We're going to work on our skills, like our ability to kind of eyeball this. So I'm just going to kind of pull all of these forward like this. I want to be able to try to I want to model or try to practice our sort of our eye, testing our eye for spatial relationships. Alright. Now the thing I want you guys to sort of recognize, let's take a look at this head, is that this is the lower palate of the jaw, this face here. And the neck itself is going to be extruded out of these two faces here. So we want to select all of these guys for now and delete them. So we're just kind of blocking out that area so that we can inevitably, let's go to the side view so you can see that better. So we can actually extrude out an actual neck area. So if I go to edge mode, I go down to extrude. I'm going to hit W and just go to my side view and just sort of mark out that area like this. So let's go to perspective so you can see that a little bit better. Alright, and so now we have a good area there for lines. Later, you kind of want to go in here and sort of grab all of these verts, just like in the Leo model, and make sure that you're always checking it for smoothing. You're always getting nice smooth curves. Alright, so once you do that, we're going to go ahead and select these four faces here, and we're going to go ahead and create the brow region. So the way you do that is you extrude these faces in. I'm going to hit R, and you delete these two faces, and you hit the delete key on the keyboard to delete those. I'm going to hit W and shift these in. So with these selected, again, you get a really nice mask. So let's go to our front view to take a look at that. The mask encompasses this entire brow. So let's go ahead and just hide this for a second. I'm going to create a layer just for the geometry. Let's double click this and call this Geo. And I'm going to hide those. Alright, so the mask is this entire area that kind of looks like a mask on our character. And that encompasses the eye socket and the bridge of the nose. So if we look back on this guy, we need to pull all of these verts in to sort of form that area. So I'm going to select these two guys, pull them down. Again, I'm just sort of looking, I'm watching that eyebrow here. I'm kind of pulling that down. Let's pull this. This is a vert on the back of the head. Alright. I'm being careful to leave this inner area here so that it lines up with sort of where that bag is. I'm going to pull this up. Same thing with this guy here. I'm going to pull this guy up here. And again, I'm just sort of forming sort of like a little, imagine like a ninja mask. Alright. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull all of these in a little bit more. Okay, now, the way we create the eye socket is we extrude these faces in. I'm going to go ahead and hit R. And I'm just going to hit delete on the keyboard. And I'm going to shape these verts out in the front view. Like this. Alright, and so there's our start of our mask and our eye socket. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and start to shape this eye a little bit better so that it starts to resemble that V shape there. Right now we just sort of have this dull flat surface.